All right, welcome back. Well, yes, that is what we're focusing on today. And as you've seen, Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry joins us next. He is the National President, Petroleum Products Retail Owners Association of Nigeria. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning.
Well, we have heard different perspectives from the NNPC, ranging from construction as a major challenge, even though they've got the products to supply Nigerians, but they can't access some of those. But we equally have heard some other narratives from some of your colleagues at the different value chain in terms of what they think is the problem. So if you could tell us, from your own perspective, what is this challenge about?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to be very clear about passing information to the Nigerian public so that we are careful in presenting the facts as it is. In the value chain today, PETROAN is the most critical because we are the last mile. We are the ones that interface with bike riders, Okada riders, everybody that is requiring to move from one location to the other. So long as we have not gotten other, dependable sources like the rail lines working and so on and so forth. So PETROAN is a very critical segment of that value chain. So we know a little bit more. We really can only supply to the public what we have been supplied by NNPC, knowing fully well that we are not importers of PMS, and there is no production of PMS in Nigeria from our local refineries. So the issue is simply a dearth in supply, a difficulty in ensuring that supply meets demand. That is just what's there. And I believe that NNPC themselves, they're doing the much they can to try to bring succor to the Nigerian public. But I think it needs to move faster.
But this is contrary to what the NNPC says, yes, that they have a lot of those products, but you disagree. Why is that?
Well, I can have 1 billion liters of PMS sitting down, and if I'm not able to pass it onto the next distribution chain to bring it down, then the story needs to be improved on. Because if there is product, we should be able to access product.
Yeah, but they say there's product, but they can't access it because of construction work around those areas. And then in other parts of Lagos, they can't distribute to PETROAN and the rest of them.
Well, we are ready to help. We offer to help. We will do everything possible.
So has there been a meeting about this?
Well, there is always the desire to have meeting around this to make sure that every stakeholder is informed about it. But I doubt if that has yielded the kind of result that I personally want to see. I want to see where we are able to offer solutions to problems even before the problems come. So that is where we are. We've been in this situation for a while. And we need to get it, right. At least in this administration, we'll say that this year is the most hit on this fuel scarcity issue, from flooding to product adulteration to different kinds of things. In the 8 years that this government is running, I think this is just the year that is really getting a sour story about fuel distribution. So I think we, as the retail outlet owners, can actually offer a solution to this.
So your group is not usually part of the meeting when it holds?
Well, we are, but you don't forget that we have almost all the retail outlets, stakeholders as members of our association, because we are independent marketers are members, major marketers are members, DAPMA stations are members. So long as you have a filling station you are a filling station owner, you are expected to be a member of PETROAN.
Excuse me, Chamberlain, sometimes when you're on this job, I think I recognize diplomise when I hear it. It's now a language that a number of our guests speak quite fluently. Excuse me, but let me ask you, I mean, more directly,
Yes.
what has been the cause of this last scarcity? What has caused this last hiccup?
Well, as far as I can tell, it's a supply issue. And that's the truth. Once, for instance, now, the 2 million liters, the 2 billion liters that is said to be around now, once we have access to it, we'll bring it down to the users.
So tell us, what exactly is the chain like normally? I mean, because do you go directly to the depots to purchase, or what do you do?
Of course, we go directly. We are bulk purchase holders with NNPC. So, of course, NNPC is duty-bound contractually to sell us product. And when we buy product, we move it down to our retail outlets and sell.
So you are the one who has to go through the hiccups of the Apapa blockage and what have you to be able to get the...
Obviously, because we also pay for the logistics.
So how big a problem has that been for you?
Well, it was a problem during the flood. And right now, if we're hearing our senior partners talking about road construction as a reason, we need to all sit down and find a way around it.
Is it a reason for you?
Well, if you ask me, I would say that we can do better than that. We can do better than that. Because if 2 billion liters is sitting down somewhere, there are so many ways that we can be able to transport the product. We can go by marine.
So speaking more factually now, speaking more directly now, you do not think that logistics of, building or road construction has actually been the...
Well, I will not contradict NNPC's position because they have much more information about this than us. But at the end of the day, I can only talk for my members. I can only talk for the public that is, hurting, coming to my members' retail outlets and they're not able to get product.
Okay, so we had received word before now that it's not exactly, well, maybe construction has a part to play. I don't know. I'm not in the business, and you will know better. But why are you laughing, Chamberlain? Well, but what we have heard is that at the depots, the price at which the marketers were lifting it had gone far up. In fact, some people said they were buying for as much as 190 naira, which was what the depots were willing to sell to the independent marketers and to people like you as well. And that if they're buying at 190 naira, how are they expected to sell at, is it 170 or 179 naira?
That is not possible at all.
Exactly. So at what price were your members asked to purchase at the depots?
No, not asked to purchase. Is a situation that the price is determined by what we find on the ground. Now, for instance, you are asking me what is the distribution process, and I was trying to explain that to you. At first, we have a bulk purchase agreement with NNPC. So NNPC is duty bound to sell us. But don't forget that the 21 depots in the country today that are owned by PPMC, they're not functioning well because the refineries are not working, and then pipelines that's interconnecting these depots are also not working well. So, of course, there is
private owners.
There is the next option, which will go to the private depots. And the private depots now hold products for both themselves and also for the PPMC. And for those of us who are able to get through the PPMC allocation process, we also get product from there. But of course, in that size, it will be this size. So if that PPMC product, PPMC as it was before, because PPMC today is almost not there anymore, we can then buy at that price. If we bought at that price, there is no PETROAN member that will sell above 165 if we got that product at the price that we have agreed with NNPC. But obviously, there are constraints. There are logistic constraints, ship-to-ship transfer, the other charges, port charges, different kinds of charges, different kinds of taxation that comes along the way. So I even sympathize with the depot owners. I was one of those who was very vocal against the depot owners. But when we sat down and did the maths, certainly you can see that they have a point.
So, and the bottom line is that it is not realistic for depot owners to sell at the agreed price.
No, it's just not possible because there's so much, price build-up along the way. And don't forget that most of these charges are dollarized.
So would you say then that if you were to look at logistics and look at pricing, cumulative, will I say cumulative, what is it, cumulative, no, accumulated pricing, I mean all the charges and costs. If you were to look at the two, which one would you say is causing this hiccup that we have seen in the new scarcity that we're witnessing?
No, this scarcity, as far as I know, because I mean, in my position, I should know better, is simply a supply issue. Because there is no other there's no other difficulty that we can trace to this issue.
Yes, I'm trying to narrow it down.
Now we are ready. Let me tell you what's going on now. Now, right now, if you go to any of the streets, close to filling stations, out of filling stations, you used to challenge me on this issue. People are selling 10 liters of fuel for 4,000, for 4,005.
You mean black marketers?
Yes. And motorists are buying it and using it.
So that justifies them hiking the normal price?
No. It doesn't. But what we are saying is that it is better for there to be product for everybody to use than this situation where there is stifling of import issues and all of that. When the government could just liberalize it for us, deregulate the process, so that we, for instance, PETROAN can work out the process to be able to bring in product, or try to work with the government to get a refinery, one of the refineries, and make it work for our members.
Well,
that's the only solution.
I was really, well, I think that our viewers can make up their mind. I mean, from what you have said, that is really, really causing the problem. Because for a number of people, they know that outside of the cities of Lagos and Abuja, where you have the regulators really putting their eyes on what is happening at the filling stations. In other cities, in many other major cities, there are products where people are allowed to sell at, is it 250 naira or even more, 300, whatever price it is that their products arrive at, they can put a profit margin to it and sell. In those places, there are no queues. So when we hear excuses such as, oh, it's because of construction around Apapa area, there are big questions to ask as to how come this thing is only affecting places like Lagos and Abuja.
Well, the questions will be many, and the answers are simple. If we have product, we'll supply product. If we have supply, the demand will be met. And it's as simple and as straightforward as that. Right. We actually will be very happy to make sure that there is enough product and everybody is able to have product. But the point I want to also make is that this pricing that is already being canvassed daily, even us as ordinary Nigerians are seeing that price is not going to make PMS to be available.
What is the pricing that you can say right now that from the depot to the from wherever it is, from maybe the ship to the end user? What is the price that you are looking at now that you think that
everywhere in the world now?
Yes,
there is price increase in PMS, in petrol.
That is true. Everywhere in the world.
Everywhere.
But the price is dropped as well in some parts of the states.
Well, what they drop in is not significant, because today now in America you are buying 1 gallon of PMS for almost $3. That used to be one point something.
Well, they reported that it dropped lower than what it was before the Ukraine war began.
No, it is volatile. So the issue.
But ours never drop here. That's the thing. Significant or insignificant, it never drops.
Well, maybe sometime.
There you go. Well, Lagos is facing this challenge as well, so let me bring in my colleagues in Lagos. Go ahead, guys.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. I think a good place to begin with, Mr. Gillis-Harris, is to tell us, I mean, I think that's part of the question Marco was trying to get to. What are the different stops in the chain from the ship to the retailer at the fuel station? What are the stops that have to be gone through? We know that you have also mentioned the NNPC, the PPMC, and the rest of them. What are the stops that, and in what order do these? Does the product have to get to these stops before they get to the fuel station?
Well, first, product is imported or, got through the swap process, and then a massive mother vessel brings the product to our waters. From that point on, subsidy is in fact, gone, because from the mothership, it goes to smaller daughter vessels that will now start to do deliveries, whether it is going to an NNPC depot or is going to a private depot. Now, the cost elements that comes in there, they're very huge, and they are not paid in Nigerian naira. That is one challenge that...
We'll come to the details of the pricing, Mr. Gillis-Harris. So you've mentioned from the ship to the depots, the NNPC depots, or the private depots.
Yes.
And then from there, where does it go?
Yes. Yeah, from then on, it gets to our retail outlets.
Okay. Are you saying then, because Bukola was trying to get that question out as well, are you saying that it's the depot owners are the marketers? Is that what you're saying?
The depot owners can only sell their product, with a profit margin. And it goes without saying that that's what they have to do.
Are the depot owners, just a second, Mr. Gillis-Harris.
Then they cannot buy products anymore.
Just one second. Are the depot owners the marketers? Are they the members of IPMAN, for instance?
The depot owners have their own association. It's called DAPMAN.
Okay. So they're different from
Some
marketers.
major marketers also have depots.
Okay. All right. Now,
some independent marketers also have depots.
Okay. So now you've talked about the huge price differentials. At what point do the prices begin to rise? Is it from the NNPC depots or from the private depot owners?
No, but I've just explained to you. The moment the subsidy payment ends, and then the other logistics costs starts hopping in, paying for vessels, paying for charges, paying for port handling, paying for landing costs, paying certain levels of taxes and all of that. That's where the price comes in. Okay.
Now, we had an interview with your chief of staff, Mr. Inimgba Emmanuel, who said to us at the time that there are some changes within in the downstream sector. He said the PPMC is no longer PPMC. What you have now is NNPC retail, which is for filling station owners and retailers. And you have NNPC trucking, which is for vessels, tank farms, and all. But he now said 1 or 2 persons in former PPMC are still there as transition processes are ongoing, and they are yet to transmit powers to the next persons. This was an interview we had with him barely a week ago. Is this issue still subsistent? How significant is this as a bottleneck in the process?
Well, it's correct, because PPMC, it's fizzling out. There's a transition going on to NNPC retail, that is the truth. And of course, there's a transition committee that must work to make sure that the transition is smooth and efficient. So that is still ongoing.
So, Mr. Gillis-Harris, what price are the retailers getting the product from the depot owners? And what's the realistic price, based on all the calculations that you have made prior to this time? What's a realistic price that that fuel, petrol, can go for across board?
Well, as it is today, if our full landing costs is about 199, 200, I think there is no way we should sell for less than 220. That is, if we're buying product that is not allocated to us through the PPMC, through the NNPC, as it is today.
So those selling for 350 naira, well, 250 naira and above, are they making inordinate gain and taking advantage of the situation?
Well, the thing is, if people are taking advantage of the situation outside of the city limits, I think the authorities should take steps to be able to check that out and work it out. But the other thing that I will suggest is we should be able to encourage petroleum product availability. Pricing is important, but it's more important for today. If you call for a bolt now, you'll see that there is no there's a dearth of vehicles in almost all the cities.
That's not the answer to the question.
No
I expected you to confirm or, to say yes or no, whether they're taking advantage of the situation. But just before we go, is the NNPC still importing petroleum products? Because Nigerians need to know why most NNPC petrol stations are not selling the product. But for retailers and the retailers, are you still able to buy the product from the NNPC?
Well, NNPC is still importing. There's no other way that we can get PMS in the country except through importation at this time. There is no refinery that is producing PMS in Nigeria.
But how do you explain?
It just looks as though this price is not going to go below 220, 250. And even though the approved price is 148, this may just be a way through the back door of increasing this price. I will stand corrected if this price comes back down, Dr. Harry, because even when it went up, there wasn't that major announcement. The commission, the company also did say, don't worry, nobody can hike any price. But look at us today. And so this is going to be the case. Maybe Nigerians should just wake up and smell the coffee. I know, Dr. Harry, yes, they will give us all sorts of challenges, reasons why that may not be the case. You have said it doesn't make sense selling below, what, 220?
Yes, it doesn't. Yeah.
Against approved pump price of 148.
No, approved pump price of 165.
165.
Yes.
And so there you go. So I would like to be wrong on this matter and see if it will go below or if it will go back to the approved price. You never know. Well, thank you for coming on.
But if next week the 2 billion liters get released and PPMC is selling product to us at a template that is being approved by NNDPRA, I can assure you that the price will come down.
To what?
Just to what the regulated price will be.
So
but don't forget that even an NPC today is already crying and bleeding. They are bleeding and crying and shouting that, is this sustainable again?
So, well, the man in Jos, Karana Moda, will they get it for 160?
Once we have supply at the price that we have discussed about, NNPC normally will sell us at below 150 naira.
But we've had supply before now at a time, and they never sold at the approved pump price in those other areas beyond Lagos and Abuja.
It's simply the same issue. If I'm supposed to buy product from PPMC and I couldn't get it and I went to other sources to get, the important thing is that the station is wet.
Okay.
And motorists can be able to access product, so there'll be no 2-mile long lines.
All right. We'll wait and see what happens. But if you ask me, I will hold my breath on that one. But Dr. Billy Gillis-Harris is the National President, Petroleum Products Retailers Owners Association of Nigeria, PETROAN. We will be back in a moment and turn our attention to politics. Stay with us.